Welcome back. I am thirteene, and we're going to be doing a video I'm actually really excited for tonight. It's going to be Grixis Rogues. So this deck's going to play pretty similar to Delver strategies where you end up trying to drop a threat and go the distance with it. It is going to be pretty similar to Grixis Delver in the fact that we have Thought Seizes, we have Wild Slashes and Stomps kind of acting as lightning bolts and just pseudo removal. Some of the things that are going to get in our way because we don't hit very hard with our creatures in this exact list. We are going to have some issues with larger creatures, questing beast, steel leaf champion, those type of things. Right now, the most popular deck in the format is mono green ramp, and that's something that we handle pretty well. I do think that our one of Master of Cruelties is super cute in this list, but it could probably be another Rankle or perhaps something similar to like Liliana's Triumph. Liliana the Vel would just be absolutely awesome in the strategy, but yeah, we can try to break this down in a moment. This is one of the few decks I actually flagged as competitive because I really do like the style of this deck and I think it fits a unique build and feel to it. I actually think at the moment this is the deck that I personally would build in Pioneer, so we'll see how well it does, but in all of my playtesting, we are currently undefeated, and we've had a number of people just concede because we were able to tempo them out in the first 2 to 3 turns. So let's see how we break this down. First and foremost, the card that makes this happen, Robber of the Rich, aka Robin Hood. So he is a human archer rogue, weird type line, but he is a 2/2 for 2 with haste and reach. Honestly, so weird. He's even hanging upside down in the art. Like, I don't know, but he's Robin Hood. So, Robin Hood attacks if the defending player has more cards in your hand than you. Exile the top card of their library. During any turn you attacked with a rogue, you may cast that card and spend mana as though it were any color. So, a couple of things to note here. First and foremost, you have to have attacked with a rogue. So, that's a thing. You can only cast cards. You can't take lands. So this isn't necessarily like the Specters or Thief of Sanity. You cannot play their lands. You have to actually cast the cards, and you have to have attacked for the turn. So this is pretty much a main 2 only card. It's going to have some weird play restrictions, and I'm sure that we'll notice those as they come up. But really, Robin Hood, if they have more cards than you got to take from them. Fantastic. You are limited to what they do, but because of that, we have a number of rogues in our deck. Trident Shore Crasher, 1/1 unblockable. Sliver Blade, 1/2 unblockable, both rogues. And that's kind of going to be the core of the strategy. Then we do have a number of rogues to help support this. Rankle, Master of Pranks, is a rogue, also very powerful, lets us draw cards, lets us clear their hand, basically super flexible. I think anybody who's played with or against this knows how valuable it is. Brazen Borrower, also a rogue, just super amazing. The tempo puts cards back into their hand, and the Brazen Borrower is just a 3/1 in the air. It's a valuable attacker. Just so much going on with these cards. And then Glint Sleeve Siphoner, I actually think that this is the Dark Confidant of this format. It has the ability to draw you cards and kind of just keep you in the game. Also a rogue, has menace, so it has some evasion. Then the things that we use to actually abuse our little dudes. So basically, in the 1/1 unblockables light up the stage, it turns on Spectacle, and we also get a Rock Curious Obsession with it. So our creatures actually are getting bigger, they're drawing us cards. We have, if we take a look at our curve, it's really low. The Brazen Borrowers and the Stomps are actually in the 2 mana column. The light up the stage is in the 1. Pretty much all of our deck is 1 to 2 mana, and there's just so much going on. We can empty our hands so fast, and Master of Cruelties is our fun of for the night. Basically, we can attack with Master of Cruelties, set our opponent's life total to 1, and then have one of our 1/1 unblockables get in and finish the job, and that is the deck, Grixis Rogues. So we're going to have to see how well we do with this tonight, but pretty excited about this one. Do need to reset the match record. And what do we have for a hand here? We have 2 unblockables and 2 Thought Seizes. Not the best, but this does mean that we get a lead on the Shore Crasher and double Thought Seize, and then basically anything we rip off the top is going to be good except for Robin Hood because we need the red. Because we can almost empty our hand this turn, I think that this is fine. Honestly, this could be in Mulligan, but I haven't done a lot of mulliganing with this deck, so I'm happy to give this a shot. It basically enables everything that we want to be doing here. But it also keeps their 7. Okay, so they're a red deck. Well, luckily we found our red mana. Let's go ahead and get in, see if they're going to burn a Wild Slash. If not, don't want them to pop it in response to the Urborg. Or the Thoughtseize, more appropriately. Let's take a look. And it's burn. I asked Brad one to review this deck for me when we were in early deck building, and he said, just make the concession that you're probably going to lose to burn. Like, double Thoughtseize on 2, pretty painful here. I think this means I have to take the Bushwhacker, or the Chain Whirler. They have the mana for everything. Whatever, let's take the targeted removal. That at least makes it so that our Curious Obsession off the top is live. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And they played the Castle Embereth. Alright, well, we have 1/1 unblockables. Running out the second Shore Crasher actually might have been a mistake with the Chain Whirler coming down, just because we know it's going to come down and kill both of our creatures, but I need to make sure that I don't have cards in my hand in case we do rip the... Okay, that's frustrating. I was going to say in case we rip Robin Hood off the top, but what can you do? Alright, well... Yeah, that's painful. Okay, there's a Slither Blade. We're done here. Not the right cards. We found way too many lands. We're playing 21, which is well within the range of something acceptable, but that was just rough. Alright, well, Spell Pierce comes in to remove their creature removal early in the game. Aether Gust can come in. They didn't show us anything saying that they should be higher on the curve, but this can hit a red spell or permanent, so this can buy us a turn or just get something big like a Chain Whirler off the table for a turn. Mystical Dispute's not going to hit anything relevant. Thief of Sanity, stealing their creatures might be relevant here, but Thief is coming in for control matchups. Notion Thief also coming in for control matchups, and a Rogue. Like... I could not believe how many good rogues there were when I was putting this deck together. But I think we just want the Spell Pierce and the Aether Gusts. As far as cuts, the Brazen Borrowers are okay. I really like the synergy with Robin Hood putting the card back in their hand, but they're going to have a lot of cheap stuff and burn spells. Master of Cruelties is probably the cut here, although most of the burn won't kill it. The 5 mana is pretty rough. And then... I'm okay keeping some Thoughtseizes just because we don't have anything better, but the life loss is an actual real problem, and probably trim a Curious Obsession. Just because this is an easy 2-for-1 for our opponent, like we put Curious Obsession up and they Searing Blaze. If we can get a Curious Obsession down while they're tapped out, it's probably fine, but I assume that they have at least the 4 Wild Slashes to deal with our 1Xs. Oh, that is awful. 3 light up the stages? That's not Happy Magic Christmas Land. That's terrible. Oh, Lord. Alright, I guess we're going to 5. For shame, deck, for shame. I guess we have to keep this. Not a good showing, deck. I'm actually kind of disappointed in how you made all this go down. Alright, well, we have Brazen Borrower to bounce at their second turn. Yeah, I guess Hayden's Swift Spear is fine. Robber. Mulliganing actually helps with Robber. Alright, well, I'm game for this. We can get some Robin Hood triggers in. Okay, we found a Wild Slash off the top. Perfectly acceptable. Now, we'll see if they actually have something that can answer that. Yep. Bye, Robin Hood. You tried. You really did. Yeah, Burn does not feel like the greatest of matchups. Yikes. I think we're Thoughtseizing. I've kind of already given up on this match. We milled to 5, and this is a terrible matchup for us. Alright, well, we can kind of deal with a lot of the stuff here, but light up the stage's card advantage is something I really don't want to have to deal with. So, going back to Robin Hood, in order to get the ability to cast this Wild Slash in exile, we have to attack with a Rogue. They drop their Mountain and the Runaway Steamkin. I'm just going to petty theft this. I really want to prevent the damage in case they found another light up the stage, and it's also just pretty good tempo. They're either killing the 1-1 or the 3-1, so I guess just make it the 1-1. Sorry, the 1-2. The Brazen Borrower will die to the Chain Whirler. The Slither Blade won't. There's the Swift Spear. And not blocking. If they do happen to have a land with this Goblin Chain Whirler, they can kill the Slither Blade here. And I think one of our few ways to get out of this is the Curious Obsession. Well, Aether Gust can protect it. Come on, big money. Hope's really getting smashed here. Alright, show me something good. Watery Grave. Oh, the shock from the Watery Grave is pretty much equivalent to the amount of damage coming in from the Monastery Swift Spear. But if I want to Aether Gust into Wild Slash, I have to shock this into play. So we'll go to 5. And the Runaway Steamkin is the most repeatable damage. It requires less triggers to go off. Okay, we might have a small shot here. Lightning Strike at the face. That's actually okay. Because we're going to Aether Gust the Chain Whirler when it comes down. I guess that doesn't work. We have to hit the Swift Spear. Oh boy. So awkward. Swift Spear goes to the top, not the bottom. There's the Chain Whirler to put us at 1. And a Spire Fluff. Alright, well... 21 lands, and we've seen a lot of them in the first game. Okay, well, we do get to see some of the power of Light Up the Stage, finding us some more cards. Light Up the Stage for more cards. Because Shore Crasher can only block the Chain Whirler. Alright, well, that technically keeps us alive, because we can block this turn. So, it's going to be Swift Spear, attack with both. Man, it felt like we were so close to stabilizing, even on the Moldify. Alright, Siphoner is at least 1 blocker, so come on, Curious Obsession, give us some payoffs. I mean, that technically keeps us alive if the opponent rips a land. That's entering tapped, and an additional blocker. Yeah, Random Map Ruins does it. Alright, opponent gets it. Well, that is probably our worst matchup, but did see some power at the end there with the Light Up the Stages able to just like completely refuel us. We were able to steal a card from our opponent, and like even being on the Moldify, we really took a beating there. The mana cost in this deck is just so low. You can multi-spell so hard when you actually get it going off. One of the cards I was considering running in this list was Treasure Cruise, because we do have the ability to just fuel our graveyard and it's restock 3, but it's a card that's going to awkwardly sit in your hand for a little while, and when we care about the number of cards in hand, that just didn't really feel like the best decision. And this hand is actually quite lovely. I like a lot of this. We're going to end up tucking a Brazen Borrower or a Wild Slash. It's actually probably going to be a Wild Slash, just because the Brazen Borrower is better tempo and gives us better top decks. Alright. Ooh, we even hit our Curious Obsession. Lovely. Alright, Slither Blade, you're up. Next turn we get an Obsession with Wild Slash up. Cycling the Censor. That's kind of a ballsy move when we make a 1-drop. That also likely means that they have a second Censor, and it also likely means we're playing against control. Okay, that's a Search for his Kanto, which means that our Curious Obsession's making contact. Ooh, there's also a Robin Hood, but we have more cards than our opponents. That's not even the correct play at the moment. So let's go ahead and shock this into play. We'll use the blue here so that we can keep up the Wild Slash. And we'll get some beats in. Really looking for Thought Seizes here. Yeah, I'm planning on firing off this Wild Slash at end step just because opponents should have to do something to it. I mean, I guess I can just take the damage, but I'm expecting like Teferi or something coming down soon. I don't know. They could be running the new cycling build. Alright, well, the fact that we haven't found a land yet means that we're going to be light up the staging here. Light up the stage, sending cards to exile is actually pretty good with the... Ooh, does that change things? That might change things. So running out Shore Crasher here is weak to board clears. Hitting light up the stage just keeps more cards in our hand, so Robin Hood's not as good. If we run out the Shore Crasher with the land, opponent draws, makes the land drop, and board clears. By the time that we rob her, and we'd have less cards in hand. Yeah, I think that means that we want to commit into potentially getting board cleared here and just let them wrath us. Okay. That's fine too. So then at that point, let's go ahead and light up the stage, just because it means that they don't have a board clear. That's awkward. I'm not going to be doing anything with my mana, so let's run out the Blood Crypt. This can be my land drop for next turn and possibly my bait card for next turn. Them seeing this Curious Obsession means that they either have to answer the board or counter the Curious Obsession, or potentially just kill this. Oh, they're Jeskai, so this might be a Fires deck. No, they wouldn't be running Sabotage if they were Fires. I don't know what we're looking at, and the fact that they left up that 2 mana is making me ask even more questions. Alright, well, let's see if we can draw a couple of cards here. Robin Hood's still not online, although we could turn it online by bouncing the Search for Azcanta. Yeah. I think I'd rather just naturally draw 2 cards than be opposed to his timing restrictions. Ooh, Thoughtseize. I really wanted that Thoughtseize. Alright, let's see what's going on here. So they did have the Teferi. They had the Magma Spray that wouldn't kill anything. The fact that they have Magma Spray either means that they're expecting a lot of things like Scrap Heap Scrounger, or this is going to be Wild Slash 5 and 6 more than likely. So Teferi goes away. I don't like the fact that he can bounce and get rid of my Curious Obsessions. They're 2 mana away from the Torrential Gearhulk being online. And if I'm going to be baiting something here, would I rather Brazen Borrower the Search for Azcanta back to hand, or run out the Glint Sleeve and plan on it dying? I think I'd prefer to Brazen Borrower and actually make them use their mana. And I'd rather do it before they get the value of filtering with the Search for Azcanta, looking for lands to get up to the Torrential Gearhulk. So, alright, these are our cards. Next turn, I can dump my hand, attack with Robber, it'll trigger, we make contact, the Curious Obsessions draw. Oh, opponent's just done. That's what I was talking about when I said in playtesting, people just conceded. Like, there's not a whole lot you can do to get around the fact that you're triggering, light up the stage, and getting 2 more fresh draws, pulling up Thoughtseizes, emptying their hand, burning away their creatures. Like, when it works really well, but this deck does utilize its life total as a resource because of the 3-color mana base, all the shock lands, as well as the 4 Thoughtseizes. I don't really think there's a good way to fix that. Like, you could run Duresses instead of Thoughtseizes. You could run Freeka's Cure, or not Vraska's Contempt. Freeka's Cure is black. Okay, whatever. I'm just going to pull this up. Freaka's Cure. Yeah, black, you gain 2 life, but that just feels like a bad wild slash, and it's even more mana intensive. Uh, Opponent, you're waiting 2 seconds. Let's go ahead and join. So Aether Sphere Harvester actually might be kind of okay in this deck. Giving our creatures lifelink also could probably be alright. I don't know, Bantu's a little cute. Collected Brutality actually would probably be a pretty good fit in this deck too, because you'd get the life gain clause. I don't know, there's a couple of things, but nothing fantastic. This hand has no black in it, but we do get to start off with a turn 1 unblockable creature and then light up the stage, so I think that's all we really need to keep this. Master of Cruelties being our fun of, showing a little awkwardness here. Okay, this is basically a 6-card hand the way it's standing. Oh, don't be burn again. Be cool, opponent. Don't be burn. Okay, expecting a Wild Slash, I'm running out the 1-1 instead of the 1-2. Just slight value on top decking a Curious Obsession. Called it. You tried, Merfolk Rogue. You really did. Alright, that's a Karizev. Alright, well, we're going to be taking a hit from the Karizev. Just hope we're not taking a hit from Karizev and also getting our Slitherblade killed. Because that'd make me really sad. Not trading Slitherblade for temporary token. Okay, so I have a decision to make here. And I think that's check them for removal. Okay. We might have hopes then. Watery Grave means I should have waited my land drop. I realized that could have been a possibility, but I actually thought I was casting Light Up the Stage when that first started. Oh well. Now they need Lightning Strike to kill our Slitherblade, and there's a Rabblemaster. Alright, so I am super afraid for our life total here. We don't really have any board clears. We're probably dropping that in. Alright, Slitherblade. You can get us a couple of draws here. Get us something that blocks profitably, or... Geez, I don't even know. Rankle would probably be fine. But it has 3 cards in hand, so... I'm assuming that they're on a bigger version since they're running Karizev. I assume Glorybringer is definitely a possibility. Brazen Borrower. That's actually fine. So this means I can chalk this into play. And then I can Petty Theft. And that means I have to have a stop on their main phase. Yep. Called it. Petty Theft you. We're going to take a pretty big hit here. But it means that Rabblemaster shouldn't be swinging in because the Glint Sleeve trades with it. I don't know. If I'm an opponent, I might even just cash this in. Apparently they didn't think the same. So we're taking 5. We're at 9. If I block a Goblin, it means that we take 4, but we're still dead. So, yep. Combat math isn't really changed by keeping Glint Sleeve alive here. Alright, well, we don't have 2 energy, so Glint Sleeve's not going to let us do anything here. That means Slitherblade needs to get in and find us a Hail Mary. I mean, honestly, it might just be another Brazen Borrower. Well, we found it. So, I can activate Light Up the Stage. I don't really think that benefits me at all. I can run out another 2-1 blocker. Again, don't think that's great. This Brazen Borrower is going to make it so that I can bounce the Glorybringer before they go to combat, and then I'll have to throw the new Glint Sleeve in front of the creature. Master of Cruelties isn't really going to save me anything because I'll run it out and we'll be dead to the Glorybringer. Alright, let's drop an additional blocker and just run back what we did last turn. We might actually just be dead to the Ramunap activation. No, I can bounce the Goblin Rabble Master. We'll see what opponent's got, though. Still not a great fan of Burn Straight to the Face. Ooh, Castle Imbreath might actually kill us, too. Because that would mean that all 5 creatures are getting +1/+0, so I have to... No, that would be their entire turn unless I had a Wild Slash as well. Yikes. We came into tonight knowing that this was going to be our worst matchup by far, and we've already played it twice. Yeah, we're just dead to the castle activation. They know about these, so it's fine to run out a second one. Honestly, not excited about it, but we're dead to either land activation. That's sad and depressing. Yep, we dead. Alright, so probably sideboarding similarly again. Not bringing in Spell Pierce this time, though, because they're going to have less direct burn. The Aether Gusts are coming in. Dreadbore could be a consideration. We do have a problem killing 4/4s, and they have definitely shown us the Glorybringers. Carry Zev's also a little hard to kill because we're going to need either 2 Stomps / Wild Slashes or to get her on the battlefield by herself and hit with Rankle. Curious Obsession is probably a trim just because if they do have removal and they hit it while we're equipping, then that's a 2-for-1, but if we cast it while they're tapped out, it does help us win games pretty easily. Oh boy, I don't even know what I really want to do here. Alright, well, Robber of the Rich, they're going to empty our hand pretty much just as quickly. I think Master, because it dies to Glorybringer, just needs to come out. I know it's our fun of, and we really want to attack with Master and then attack in with an unblockable creature, but I don't think that's going to happen in mono red. That's more of like a control-less game. Okay, this is actually fine. So us being on the play means that Robber's likely going to come down and be online. They're going to draw a card. They're going to have a 1-drop to stay even, but when we cast this, we'll go under. So we'll actually be able to hit with Robin Hood. It's really all I wanted with this deck, so I'm on board. We want to get a black land, and we have 2 red sources down, so we can go ahead and run that out tapped first. Could see an argument to do Steam Vents because we're likely going to follow it up with Spire Bluff the next turn, and then Urborg will just make it a triple color. I mean, we know what we want to do here, and that's Robin Hood. Robin Hood will be online, and he'll trigger even if we don't hit our opponent, although they're not going to throw Soul Scarred in front of this. Come on, Robin Hood. Show me something good. Can't do anything with Mutavault. Oh, and any non-creature means that Soulscar gets to block it for free. Yeah, this just feels like such a terrible matchup. He's dead. He's super dead. Alright, well, sure. Stalker into Light Up the Stage is what we want now. Would have been really nice to have him on 1, but what can you do? Then, worst case, we're running out, Light Up the Stage, and just finding 2 fresh cards for turn 4, but barf. Soulscar Mage is a really good Magic card. Alright, opponent, what you got? I have a 1/1 unblockable and 3 lands in hand. Alright, so we're stumped. That hurts. Rankle would actually be a fantastic top deck. I actually think that's the top deck that I want. It'd let us draw a fresh card, pitch a land, and survive most of their removal. Soulscar is a replacement effect. Well, they can leave blockers up. I'm expecting to see the Giant come down next turn. They did miss their land drop again. Light up the stage, look for a 1-drop, I think is the best thing I can do here, though. We found Aether Gust and Robin Hood. Alright, tap land, your go. So likely going to be double casting these two guys next turn. It also means that they have to leave back 2 blockers. Rabblemaster's a fast clock. Alright, so we're looking for a Wild Slash off the top. And I'm actually going to wait on the Aether Gust at the moment. I'm perfectly okay to trade the Robber for the Rabblemaster. But if we flip a Wild Slash, I can cast it now. Oh, we had more cards in hand than our opponent. That was definitely a punt. I could have resolved that. Okay, well, goodbye to you. No, not goodbye to you. Yep, let's run out Glint's Sleeve. It can at least block the Rabblemaster, assuming they don't have removal. Man, mono red is rough. It's too many creatures, and they're doing what we want to better. Alright, so we're getting hit for 4, 8, 9, 10. We go down to 1. Alright, well, we definitely smashed control. Let's take a look at what we rip off the top. I did cast a card. Whatever, we're good. We were dead anyway. Control, like, just absolutely got wrecked by us, but that mono red is not where you want to be at. We are currently 1 and 2. Both losses to mono red. Okay, can we play a matchup where I'm allowed to pay life and not feel bad about it? Can I keep this hand? No, I at least need a second color. And this doesn't have a 1-drop, but it has 2 Curious Obsessions. Alright, well, we'll tuck one of these guys because it's slightly awkward and we don't know what we're playing against, but this is at least Thoughtseize on 1, and then we can Petty Theft. Gilded Goose. You know Oko got banned, right, friend? Alright, well, let's take a look at what they're working with. Prime Speaker and lands. Alright, then. I mean, I'm on board. So, I assume they're going to be creating a food at instep, which means Brazen Borrower is likely my line. I'm assuming I want to bounce the food token. Bouncing the Gilded Goose isn't actually going to net me anything, and the food token is... I don't know, unless they were trying to modify like an old... I think Hooglin played a food Prime Speaker deck. The Gilded Goose doesn't actually accomplish a whole lot for them. Actually, on second thought, if they have a 5-drop, then they're going to be able to activate it. So let's hit the Gilded Goose. Yep, make your food. And there is a Shore Crasher. So, opponent's deck shouldn't have much interaction. I'm going to try to be mana efficient and actually equip the Curious Obsession now. Oh my gosh. Oh, I feel so bad. I think I'm still mildly tilted from playing Burn twice. Alright, well, light up the stage should resolve some problems here. The opponent has 3 unknown cards in hand. Alright, here's the light up the stage. We found Thoughtseize and Watery Grave, so let's go ahead and Thoughtseize. What are you holding on to, opponent? More lands. Oh my gosh, I'm not even going to be able to goldfish this. Yeah, honestly, your life total isn't super relevant. Like, if you get north of, like, 60, we might have a problem, but eventually we're just going to swarm you with card advantage. Castle Lockland is a fine pickup, but we're still looking for light up the stage. I don't think Wrinkle is the correct call here, just because the Gilded Goose can block, versus actually finding more threats and more red mana. Okay, well, yeah, let's just go ahead and drop another unblockable, and we'll plan on petty thefting anything that they run out. Opponent has found a lot of land so far. I do feel a little sympathy for them at this moment. Yep, you got it. That is a Selfless Spirit, so this might be the... no? It's Prime Speaker, so that's a toolbox card to get rid of board clears. And they top deck a Hollowed Fountain? Wow, that is not great luck there. Okay, I guess we're on Rankle. Not a whole lot else to do. A little slow on the top decks here. Like, really not super impressed with the top decks this game. But what can you do? I mean, pretty similarly, oh my gosh, words are hard, okay. We are getting mana flooded pretty hard here. We found a ton of lands off the top. We're 16 in, we found 6 of them. Yep, you get a food token. We only have 21 lands in our deck. I mean, I could pull up the calculator, but it feels a little worthless here. Let's get rid of the 1/1 that doesn't really do anything. We found a Glint Sleeve, that's fine. There's the other Aether Hub. And there's Robber. That is what we were looking for here. So Robber's going to let us grab a card off the top of their deck. Hopefully we'll have better luck off the top than they have. Tap with all creatures. We found a Rogue Refiner. That's actually a great one. This is in here just to draw a card. I'm wanting to say that there's a list running Rogue Refiner, but it was in there just for a value draw from Prime Speaker Vanifair. Yeah, let's pull discard. I think at this point I want to keep all my creatures around and don't really want to pay any more life to draw them out of their current situation. Wow, they found another Aether Hub? That feels super bad. Funny enough, this is a rogue. I almost went green for this card. Alright, and there's a Curious Obsession. So Curious Obsession is going to go on the Slither Blade, kind of just diversify our threats a little bit. Did you find something? Displacer. Alright, well, Displacer makes it so that the Curious Obsession can't really come out. But it's not a good enough threat on its own. Selfless Spirit. And they left up mana to displace, so getting a little bit closer. Wait, are you displacing now? Oh, yeah, you buy that back. That's cute. That's fine, though. That means that they don't have Displacer active for this Curious Obsession. So let's go ahead and suit up here. Then that way they have to block. They can't just eat it for free. We still have 2 Brazen Borrowers that we can run out, although they can only block the Selfless Spirit at the moment. Didn't want to run out this land because we had a chance of drawing an untapped source. Wow, and they just throw their board away. Alright. Might be activating Castle Lock Lane here. I don't know. Brazen Borrower's fine, but doesn't really commit super hard to the board. I also want to find a way to kill this, which is going to require drawing a couple of cards. Wow, they're going aggro too. Tune with the Aether. Really just trying to get rid of those lands. Wow, fail to find. Tune with Aether with 2 basics. Whatever. I haven't been able to goldfish this game. I can't judge. Another Castle Lock Lane. Alright, well. So I attack in with Rankle, choose to sack a creature. The Voice of Resurgence will create a token that's a 3/3, and I won't be able to block. Alright, let's just try to draw a card. We'll draw and discard. I'm going to leave this... Leaving back to block doesn't actually make any sense here, because they'll just flicker it twice. They have enough mana. Put this trigger on the stack. We'll do all 3 because we get a choice, and it'll just make opponent lose a life. We'll sack our 1/2. Yep, voice goes away. Yep, and we're just dead to attack, so what can you do? Hopefully this time both sides do a little bit better actually playing with their cards. This does feel like a matchup for Thief of Sanity. Mystical Dispute, they didn't really show us anything blue other than Prime Speaker. Notion Thief, they didn't really show us anything that draws cards, although it's safe to assume that they have at least one Tireless Tracker in their list. I can slaughter games and go pull out the Prime Speaker. They're actually running the Behold. Oh my gosh, I can't remember the name of it. Brood Monitor combo. So when it enters, you create 3/1/1s, and then they have something that reduces the cost of Eldrazi Displacer to get infinite mana. So need to be a little aware of that, although it's probably not their primary win condition. Aethergust can hit Prime Speaker, can't really hit their Eldrazi. I do need Dreadbore for the Displacers, though. The Brazen Borrowers will be fine as long as I actually bounce the correct thing. What new deck are you talking about? Happy to take a look at it. If it's for a safe site, feel free to post it in chat. I play a bunch of new decks every week, so really happy to see anything new coming around. Curious Obsession falls off of the Displacer activation. It's 5-color dragons. Ooh, that top end is a little heavy, but Draconic Roar is in a really good spot here. I played a pretty similar Grixis list a while back that looked pretty similar to that, but is there a... I'd probably put 4 Sylvan Caryatids in the list just because you are 5-color. It looks like the mana cost might be a little awkward. Here, I'll pull it up for just a second. Nope, that's the wrong window. I mean, the curve on this deck looks a little heavy. I think that they have a pop out. No, they don't sort by mana cost or anything like that. But if you miss your mana dorks, it seems like it'd be a little hard to actually go off at the top end. But I do actually currently have a 5-color Niv deck that's going to be just a little bit less heavy on the top end coming in soon. It's mostly taking advantage of like Oath of Kaya and Teferi and stuff like that, but we are running some ridiculous number of dragons to actually make the Draconic Roars happen. This is currently what I'm looking at, but I'd be happy to play this list or something a little closer to yours. Looks pretty sweet though. Definitely got a lot going on. Oh crap, we didn't finish boarding. I have to take 4 cards out. Let's take out Bone Crusher Giant, Master of Cruelties, and a Curious Obsession, just because we're at time. Oh, yeah, I'm trying to remember when I ran that last list, but it was basically like right as Pioneer came out, and it was a ton of fun. Like, I absolutely loved the deck. It was amazing. This is a little awkwardly slow, but we at least have something to turn on our future light up the stages and Curious Obsessions. Yeah, I even had like Dragon Lord Silumgar in there. I had Lathlas in as like card number like 63 or something like that. Like I was really trying to make her fit. It was just a little hard because when you're that expensive, you usually get stomped by a little faster decks. But that Grixis Dragons list was awesome. I was also running a couple of Spit Flames. Like Spit Flame was amazing in a Dragon Shell. Just rebuyable, shoot for 4. 4 toughness, ends up removing just about everything in the format. Alright, well, I am going to assume that the fact that they led on Aether Hub and they ran out of green mana dork, that they're really counting on the Slanowar Elves to live. Brazen Bar, we're setting them off tempo. If I'm wrong, is probably fine. So I'm actually just going to go for this line and bounce it. And then that leaves my removal up for something that's a little bit bigger, that's harder to deal with, like the Eldrazi Displacer. Like, if they don't have a green land to follow this up with, we probably just took the game. Oh, they have the coast. I mean, they're still paying life to get the green creature out. And odds are I'm actually just going to bounce it again. Let's see what this light up the stage gives us, though. Cast of Spectacle. We got okay, well, there's our island. And I think we just bounce again. And then next turn we can rankle and just make them sack it. That seems pretty good to me. They really want this Llanowar Elves. They really want that Llanowar Elves. Alright, that Selfless Spirit means it's going to be a little harder just to straight up kill it. But that's probably fine. Now let's run out the Rankle. We'll be responsible and actually just play on curve. The Dreadboard just gives them a little bit too much flexibility to save the Selfless Spirit and to sack the Selfless Spirit and keep the Llanowar Elves around. Wow, no blocks. Alright, well, I really don't need the Shivan Reef. We're already at the top of our curve. I'm happy to draw a replacement card for it and then sack the 1/1, keep the Dreadbore around. So let's discard Shivan Reef. Opponent has their choice of many cards to discard. Really, really looking for like a Curious Obsession here. I don't think our opponent has a good way to just straight up remove it. It'd give us so much card advantage. Even a Robin Hood would be fine. Although I don't think the 2/2 is going to get in through most of their creatures now that we've made it to turn 4. But Robin Hood would at least allow us to get some attackers in, a couple of triggers. We'd have multiple turns with any of our rogues that are attacking in order to recast stuff out of their deck. Like, there's just so much that we could be doing, but a little awkward with both Brazen Borrowers and Exile Zone. We are going to lose our Slither Blade here. I don't think that's that big of a deal. Again, if our opponent had a lot of removal and I didn't think Wrinkle was long for this Earth, probably would have prioritized Slither Blade with perhaps like a tap land or something. Although I think it was Castle Locklane this turn. Hey, look, we did get Robin Hood. That's perfect. We'll be able to clear the way and get an attack trigger in next turn. Yeah, they wanted this Llanowar Elves. They got rid of the Selfless Spirit. Alright, well, I'm expecting... I was about to say I was expecting Prime Speaker Vanifair to come down, but I guess that's not the case. We do only have one red mana at the moment, so it's Robin Hood or Dreadbore. Yeah, the Gilded Goose also seems a little perplexing here, but I could see it's because they're essentially a 4-color deck. Ooh, that's pretty good. So, Wild Slash the Gilded Goose, just so that they can't keep creating food because they're at 6. Then Hardcast the Brazen Borrower. I can clear the way of any flyers coming down and hopefully just win in 2 turns. Yeah, I think that's the line. As much as I wanted to Robin Hood there, I don't think we can. The Voice of Resurgence token was just enough that it didn't feel safe to do it. Alright, opponent, what you got left? Eldritch Evolution, getting a 2-drop? Oh, 3-drop. Eldritch is the +2. I suppose this is probably for Displacer? Renegade Rallier. Alright. They are a Prime Speaker Vanifair deck. So that's going to rebuy the Gilded Goose. All that's fine. It does mean that they're going to gain some life here, but can't do too much about that. Alright, Brazen Borrower, you ready to get some beats in? Cracking their food. Yep. It's possible they died if they didn't, so that totally makes sense. An additional red source is fine. Do I want to cash out the Robber of the Rich? Probably not. I think I have to Dreadbore the Gilded Goose here, which means the other Brazen Borrower's not coming down, so they're on a 3-turn clock. I'm actually going to be on a 2-turn clock from their ground stuff. Oh, the mana base in this deck is so rough. I don't even have the additional black for Castle Locklane here. Maybe Castle Locklane's a little greedy in this deck, but our mana curve is just so low. If I attack in with Robber of the Rich, the odds of finding something I can cast for 2 seems really unlikely. Robber of the Rich chump blocking doesn't seem that great. I Dreadbore this. I'm only taking 8 on the ground this turn. Yeah, we're on Dreadbore. And then Brazen Borrower can't block anything unless it has flying, so we're going to start clocking our opponent here. If they do alpha us and they don't have a blocker, Robber is actually a really cheesy way to get an additional 2 points of damage. I don't know, that also means that Stomp and Wild Slash become lethal. We boarded really quickly though, and we did take out both Stomps. That means that we have 1 Wild Slash left in the deck. Yeah, that's not very likely. Okay, so they might have Cocoa mana still up. Let's see what you got, opponent. We're attacking for 5. I totally forgot about the food token. I'm not in the magic headspace tonight. That means Robber has to stay back to block. Then we're actually just dead. Yep. Okay, well, I'm good to move on. My apologies. I am not playing very well at the moment. We do move to 1-3. I do think the deck can do severely better than that, but 2 of our losses were to mono red, and I actually wholeheartedly believe I punted that last game away. There are a couple of ways we could have won, and mulliganing on both game 1 and 2 were probably necessary. It does really feel like we need to have something that can just explicitly remove creatures. Something like a Terminate would just be really good in this list. So if our opponent has a 1-drop, this Robber's not online, I think we have to mulligan that. Oh boy. The mana in this deck is so painful. Alright, tuck our fun of Master of Cruelties. I don't think we're going to have the opportunity to have that fun of work out. And then probably just the Painland. I can see a scenario where I want to use all three of these cards, and I can handle most of my hand with 2 mana. In fact, pretty much most of my deck. Just the Brazen Borrower and Giant half of cards, and the Master of Cruelties I put at the bottom. Alright, so that's a Llanowar Elves. Blooming Marsh means that this is likely a Golgari style deck, so I do need to be wary of Fatal Push. Shore Crasher should be able to go some distance, though. Hopefully he survives long enough for the Curious Obsession. Ooh, it looks like it's tokens, so this is Hardened Scales. Well, they didn't lead on a Hardened Scales yet, so that's good. Let's go ahead and Curious Obsession, see if we find something that we'd really like to do for the turn. Unfortunately, I have to leave Nissa alone, because this is only whenever you deal combat damage to a player, not a planeswalker. Alright, let's draw a card. Another Brazen Borrower's fine. Not exciting, but fine. Then I guess we'll see if our opponent has a Walking Ballista. Walking Ballista for 1, or Hardened Scales Walking Ballista, tick down Nissa. Like, that's probably how we say goodbye to this game. Walking Ballista actually really wrecks our deck between Brazen Borrower, the Shore Crasher. The other 1/1 unblockable, the Slitherblade. Why do I have to call cards? Like, seriously, why do I have to do it? It's not like it's a requirement. I just decide to say the worst thing that's going to happen to me. A little interesting they left the plant back. It's not like they know we have Robin Hood in our deck, and it honestly doesn't protect much. Although Robin Hood actually has the ability to go after Nissa. Oh, alright, well, I guess we'll see if we have to actually bounce something, or if we can just run out the Brazen Borrower at end step and kill the Nissa. That was really bad for us. Like, that was so bad for us. Alright, there's another plant token. There's a big Vivian. Alright, well, that means I at least get to kill Nissa here. It also means I'm not triggering Light Up the Stage. That's getting really tempting to bounce opponent. But my job right now is still kill Nissa because she explodes pretty hard. Ooh, that's a Rankle that I can't cast. Oh, that feels bad, man. Alright, let's kill Nissa. Hopefully they don't have a backup. Then if they try to actually cause the fight here, I can bounce whatever they're going to fight. They haven't actually pressured my life total that hard yet, so that's fine. Yeah, there's a lot of people running this swamp. I do really like the art, though. Alright, tick down. I know you want to tick down. I believe you want to tick down. I have a lot of untapped blue mana, but that doesn't mean anything. Tick down. Oh, boy. Why do you have so many Walking Ballistas? Alright, so I'm going to force them to cash this in if this is what they're doing now. This does give them the opportunity to plus this Nissa as opposed to minus, but that's fine. Yep, that's what I was looking for. Does counter our Brazen Borrower, but it means that this Rankle should be able to do something fun. I don't know. 2 Walking Ballistas in the top 11 is just so painful for our deck. Just so very painful. Really starting to feel like I need an illness in the ranks in the sideboard, though, with these plant tokens. Yikes. Yeah, we're dead. They just said tap and attack. Alright, well, Dreadbore comes in and answers the Planeswalkers. Aethergust hits all their little creatures. Thief of Sanity's probably fine here just because it's an additional attacking threat. Glintsleeve Siphoner, although it's a rogue and it has evasion, they're going to have a lot of plant tokens, and Walking Ballista just pings it to kill it. The Curious Obsession is probably fine as long as they don't have an active Walking Ballista at the moment. Notion Thief, kind of same logic. It's just a 3-1. They're not really going to be drawing all that many cards unless they alt Nissa. I could see an argument for the Mystical Disputes because there are just a number of problem cards, but it's not going to target many blue things, so I don't think I can bother bringing that in. Wow, yeah, this feels pretty bad too. A Wild Slash is probably the cut. At least the Giant will be able to attack after the fact, and the targeted removal won't be able to answer too many things, assuming that there's an active Hardened Scales online. Man, this deck was so sweet. Just happened to play Mono Red twice, and Walking Ballista is a good card versus it. If we had the ability to put Shaper's Sanctuary in this deck, that'd be great. Like, Shaper's Sanctuary would just solve so many problems. This guy. The Lazotep Plating, this guy, would give us an additional 1/1. It wouldn't have any evasion, but it would at least allow us to protect our creatures from bounce or single kill spells for relatively cheap. I think we have to keep this just on the strength of Thoughtseize. So like, I can Thoughtseize, take away the Hardened Scales or the Walking Ballista that they're going to be leaning on the back of, Brazen Borrower for tempo, and then kind of just go from there and try to play a little bit more of a controlling matchup. I don't have a 1/1, but I think Thoughtseize being able to kind of cover that weakness is probably alright. Opponent does go to 6 cards, so that's kind of beneficial for us. If we're going to be Thoughtseizing, I'd prefer they had less cards in hand, although them mulliganing means that top decking a Robin Hood's not nearly as good. Alright, so they have Mana Dork, Hardened Scales, Stone Coil is actually relatively annoying here. I can at least bounce it for a turn with Brazen Borrower. The Winding Constrictor is likely going to be the thing eating the Dreadbore, but the Hardened Scales is the most synergistic piece of their deck, so goodbye Hardened Scales. So expecting Blooming March into Elvish Mystic here. Alright, then Fast Land, ship it on back. Opponent should probably be running out the Winding Constrictor here unless they top deck a Nissa. Oh, they top deck another Blooming Marsh. Yep, so Winding Constrictor. Stone Coil for 1. That's an interesting play. Especially because that gives me something to do with my mana this turn. Alright, let's just bounce you. Be mana efficient. Another Brazen Borrower is fine. So we're going to put this into play tapped, and we're going to Dreadbore the Winding Constrictor because it is a problem card. Then we have Brazen Borrower to come down. We do need to start clocking our opponent without any pressure. We're not going to be able to win this. And with 2 light up the stages in hand, we should be able to empty basically anything off the top of our deck. Wow, and they top deck the Forest. So they have 1 unknown. Why does it seem like they're delving? They're probably just running out the Stone Coil and trying to figure out how to do X, but Stone Coil also having Reach is annoying. But without a doubt, Actually, I was going to say I'm going to be running out Brazen Borrower here, but I think I want to light up the stage looking for a land and a 1-drop. So if I run out Brazen Borrower, I'm likely taking 4, and then I'll be bouncing this. Alternatively, light up the stage. If I hit exactly a land and a 1-drop, we're pretty much on pace to win this game. Where this is just stalling, taking 4 for a turn. Oh boy. I think we're just going to pass and hold up the Petty Theft or the Brazen Borrower. When we can trigger light up the stage for 1, we'll be in a much better position. Because like, if they have a Walking Ballista here, it means I can't Brazen Borrower. I'll actually have to Petty Theft it and look for removal. Alright, I guess we'll see if you have a Fatal Push and a way to trigger Revolt. Ooh. Yeah, we're doing that. We have to. Robber of the Rich. Here comes Robin Hood. The whole reason we're doing Rogues. Alright, then we get to attack with 2 creatures. Trigger the light up the stage. Hopefully hit a land drop. Honestly, just take a Walking Ballista off the top. I know it's high hopes. Like, it's very improbable. We don't know where any are, so it's 450. But actually 452 because of the 2 in hand. But that's what I want. I keep forgetting it requires the number of cards in hand and they mulliganed. Oh well, we're going to trigger light up the stage. Yep. So they have actually unknown in hand. Spectacle! Yikes. So if they have Walking Ballista, we might actually just lose here because we won't be able to trigger up the second light up the stage. We're taking 5, but the plan is to Brazen Borrower, the Stone Coil Serpent. Might even be Stomp the Elvish Mystic. Guess we'll have to see. Alright, well, I do want the free draw, and I know I'm attacking, so let's just go ahead and get in. Also reduces the clock by a full turn, so gotta do what we can. Land is good. Let's go ahead and cast off of our black source. Watery Grave is fine, but we're not going to be running it out this turn. That means goodbye, Bone Crusher Giant. I have to bounce the Stone Coil this turn. Still not in a great spot if they find a way to increase their 1/1 counters and run out a Walking Ballista, just because they'll be able to Walking Ballista for 3 and like Hardened Skells or another Winding Constrictor will just make it so much closer to lethal. But hopefully they just run out the Stone Coil again. Attacking with the Llanowar Elves means that they will be able to grow it out of the range of the 4/2. Making it 2/2 would actually be kind of annoying, though. Alright, well, it's a 5/5. That oddly is just great. So make it a 5/5. I think that means I have to Robber here. Actually, no. Robber's probably going to be... let's actually attack. Odds are I have to block with the Robber, so we'll see if they end up blocking or not. Being up 5 and this thing having trample is kind of annoying. Okay, well, they didn't want us to draw 2. That makes sense. So they didn't lose life. I think that puts us on Thief of Sanity. As much as I want the Robber, we have more cards in hand, so it's not going to trigger. And the Thief of Sanity is going to make it so that they can't attack in with the Llanowar Elves. All right, well, it's your go, opponent. We'll see what you got. I assume the one card in hand from last turn was a land because they didn't even try to bluff like a Fatal Push or anything. It could also be 6 mana Vraska, although I don't think that they run that anymore. I think that was just a standard build. Alright, that's 3 mana Nissa. So... Oh, interesting. They're not going to grow the Mana Dorks. That actually would have been a lot of pressure if they had grown that. Robber. That's only if they have more cards, not if you're tied. So if I go empty, that doesn't help me at all. Alright, well, I think we hit them with Thief of Sanity. I think we can kind of ignore the Nissa. I don't know. If they downtick, it's 5 damage coming at us. But I can trigger Light Up the Stage and get a couple of ground blockers, so yeah, let's hit opponent. Plus, who knows what we rip off the top. Robber's a mediocre blocker. He's supposed to steal from the rich, but, I mean, getting railroaded by an Elvish Mystic also seems fine. Guess we'll take the Whining Constrictor, because why not? Then that means we can light up the stage. Let's do it off the blue source. We have less need of those. Oh, Brazen Borrower? Awesome. So let's Petty Theft one of these guys. Actually, do I want to do that? I don't think so. I think Robert just wants to threaten blocking here. So let's go ahead and... Oh my gosh, and I can't tap. Ugh, I'm so sorry. I am not in the right headspace at the moment. I guess that means we are leaving up the other Brazen Borrower. And by Brazen Borrower, I mean Petty Theft. It does make it a little harder for them to commit into a giant strategy where 1/1 counters means that you can't get in past the Whining Constrictor. But I guess that's fine. Interesting. So, Petty Theft. Whatever, let's just hit a Mana Dork. Spire Bluff doesn't really do a whole lot. This is at least a chump blocker. Let's go ahead and hit with Thief of Sanity. Let's actually try to tick down Nissa. I either get something off the table or... Yeah, I mean, it's Llanowar Elves or Nissa here. So that feels like a fine attack. The Robber is going to be able to block if they end up just letting it go. And... yeah, that all seems fine. Done. Walking Ballista? Alright, well, I guess I'm playing Hardened Scales now. Actually, Robber has haste. Does that change anything? Yeah, it does. Let's just Hardened Scales. Tell our opponent they can't have it back. And then run out the Brazen Borrower at their end step. That means I'm attacking for 6 unblockable. 7 haste. Or 8 haste. You block Robin Hood too well. Like, he's a mythic. You're an uncommon. It shouldn't be this close of a fight. I mean, that's a pretty big board. I think I'm supposed to throw the Short Crasher in front of that. I mean, it's still 3 damage regardless, and right now it's only 4 at best. And then we get to Brazen Borrower. Steam Vents. Not really what I was looking for. Brazen Borrower can't block anything unless it has flying. So off of the Thief of Sanity, I need to find a creature. Ooh. Voracious Hydra, fight the Winding Constrictor. How much can I do this for? I have 6 mana, so I can do it for 4. That'd be Eat the Elvish Visionary, be able to block the token. Yeah, that seems fun. I like that. Or I could shock in the Steam Vents and kill the Winding Constrictor, but that means I'm dead to the token, so that doesn't really work. Currently 4. We're going to have it fight Elvish Visionary. So, still dead to a Walking Ballista, but I think that's been the case for a while now. Oh, I had a Hardened Skells. Oh my gosh. I need to take a moment, breathe, look at the board state. Alright, well, we stole that one. Despite several punts. Several punts. Spell Pierce hitting Nissa is feeling a little bit better. Spell Pierce won't work on the draw versus Hardened Skells, but I likely wouldn't have the mana up at that moment anyway. It'd be Spell Pierce versus probably Bone Crusher Giant. How do I feel about that exchange? Bone Crusher Giant. Yeah, I can't even kill Winding Constrictor, so that might be fine. Just the 2 damage has not been sufficient this league, has been the bottom line. Really liking the idea of Terminate somewhere in the list. Okay, so our opponent's on the play, but this is going to be a turn 2 robber with... They're going to have a 1-drop and a 2-drop in order for that to not work, and if they do, I'll just Aether Gust. This is fine. I'm not excited about not having black mana, but having 2 black cards. Mana has been a consistent problem for this deck, but I think just the value of these 5, this 5-card hand, is good enough. Our opponent mulligan, though, so Robber's less likely to be online. That's also been another giant problem with Robber, is there's been a number of times where it just hasn't been online. Okay, well, that changes things. Let's just go ahead and Thoughtseize and get rid of a problem card. They already have the Hardened Skells. Next turn we can Aether Gust if... Oh, boy. So, this is a pretty nutty hand for them. Long term, I need an answer for this Vivian, but they only have 1 land. Getting rid of the Walking Ballista because it's just so good against our deck. Double Hardened Skells. I mean, that makes cards good. Okay, well, opponent has 2 cards in hand, which means this Robber's not online. I'm likely not Aether Gusting here. I do want the Slither Blade out, so I can light up the stage. So let's just take this line. Would not have minded another Thoughtseize to get rid of the other Hardened Skells there, but what can you do? Shaper's Sanctuary is going to make our removal worse. Not like we had a ton of it to begin with. Well, that's a good card. Funny enough, I could Thoughtseize myself to turn on the Robber. Alright, let's just do this. Another Shaper's Sanctuary. There's so much mana away from this Vivian. I'm just going to try to tempo them out as hard as I can here. And then Robber technically attacks for damage, despite the fact he isn't going to buy us cards. Come on, Robin Hood. Like, can you get your crap together? Okay, well, that's a card for them. Let's go ahead and get our beats in, then we'll activate Light Up the Stage, looking for a land. I think I want to just leave Aether Gust up because we are ahead on board. Yeah, let's do it off this guy. Steam Vents, Mountain. So I'm currently attacking for 3. They're on a 5-turn clock. I bumped that up to 4. It's a 4-turn clock. Yeah, that's not good enough. So we'll just hold up the Aether Gust here. This is only for creatures, so saving the Dreadbore for the Vivian's fine. If they end up hitting their... Yep. Then if they put it on top, that means they'll be able to grow the Elvish Mystic to be... Holy crap, a 5/5? Does this hit with both on the same creature? So they'll put 4 counters on the Elvish Mystic. Oh boy, that's a lot. Oh, Spell Pierce even better. So glad we brought you in. You're definitely doing Tempo's work. Mr. Robin Hood, I'd really appreciate if you could draw some cards, though. Then if they do find a problem permanent, I can Dreadbore it. They'll get a replacement card, but hopefully they'll be tapped out. And we're kind of making the tempo play here. Ooh, this is actually an interesting decision. I could Dreadbore the Elvish Mystic to put a card into their hand so that I'd get a trigger off the Robber of the Rich. It's too greedy. I do a lot of greedy things, but that's probably too greedy. We're just ahead. If they run out of problem next turn, then I can cash it out, but... Oh, it's so sad I have to work that hard to enable you. I mean, you are a 2-mana mythic, so whatever you got to do, man. Stone Coil's unfortunately immune to Dreadbore. Like, look how many lands we got. There's 21 in the deck. That being a 6/6 is a real problem. We also took out all the wild slashes, so targeted removals out of the question. Like, we can't just burn them out for 3. Alright, looking for a Brazen Borrower. That's not a Brazen Borrower. I think I'm supposed to take this line now, just because I'm not going to be able to kill him if I don't. Guess we'll see if they have a Fatal Push. Yep, opponent draws a card. Interesting that they floated the mana. It's good form, but I don't think they have anything in their deck that they could actually activate there. Oh, look at that. I mean, if they have the Fatal Push, they got the Fatal Push, but really Robin Hooding out the win there. Opponent just said us, LOL. Opponent said my deck is so bad, but it was just because we had like such terrible draws there. So if I do look at the actual layout of this deck, it is amazing. It has some really high-powered cards in it. Like the Master of Cruelties is a joke. Kind of knew that going in, but I figured if there's any deck that you want Master of Cruelties, it's with 8 creatures with 1 power that are unblockable. The light up the stages with the Curious Obsessions are actually amazing. I love the ability to attack in on 2 for 2 and be able to trigger draw 1 and threaten doing that repeatedly, or temporary draw 2. The ability to have cards in exile like Brazen Borrower that don't count towards your hand for Robin Hood felt like it would be good enough to work. And again, in playtesting, like 1/1 unblockable, light up the stage, thought seize the following turn, and just continuously start drawing these cards, rankle, have them sack their creatures. Like, you can play a very tempo strategy. It's not as deterministic is probably the word as Delver is, where you could like Force of Will and Legacy. You have the days just to do the hard counter, the soft counters. You have Lightning Bolts as pretty much removal for any meta creature. Like the wild slashes probably need to be terminates. Like there's definitely a home somewhere for that. We need something that can remove the larger creatures that get in the way of Robin Hood. Um, but being able to put Ordeal of Thassa or something similar to it on our creatures that are unblockable to draw cards, make them big enough to be a threat and unblockable, give them the evasion that Delver of Secrets typically would have. Like, there felt like there's a lot of strength, and I actually think this is kind of a fine shell to start this strategy. Rankle is pretty powerful. The double black makes that so hard, though. Like, I'm kind of considering if the black's even worth it. We had some problems activating the Castle Lock lane. I don't think that's correct for the strategy. We have other ways to draw cards. The Notion Thief being a rogue is cute, but he's likely never attacking, so he might be a little cute. I don't know. This feels like a list that I could optimize despite the fact we only went 2-3 and do pretty well. Two of our losses were versus mono red, and that was a known consideration going in. It would definitely need some tuning for red, but overall, I actually did really, really like the feel of this deck, even though I did not play it very well tonight, and I apologize. I haven't really been in the mindset for Magic the past week and a half. I'll see if I can get better on top of that. I've been doing a lot of Cube, and we actually played some EDH, and that's outside of my normal, so I might be slightly burnt out. I'll try to be better by Wednesday, though. Overall, though, I do actually really like this deck, even if the showing wasn't amazing for it, because it can do some very powerful things. But I am thirteene. I play a bunch of fun decks for a site called Squirrel Dealer. We have a lot of history of videos up on YouTube before Pioneers, mostly modern. Now it's mostly Pioneer. We are trying to do some paper EDH stuff coming, just waiting on a better webcam for that. But feel free to go check out our stuff. If you have something cool, I'm happy to take a look at it. Play something similar. Not necessarily going to play your deck, but if it's something cool, I'm really happy to check it out, and we'll see if we can give it a shot. But if you have something specific, feel free to hit me at any of those links. And thank you everyone for hanging out tonight, and have a good one.